Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to talk about this. One of my girls in the academy, she's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going to make a whole podcast about this. But she just left a message in our private Facebook group just for academy members. And she had a huge revelation. And I wanted to share this with you because I feel like I've never really thought of it quite this way, but I'm so excited to share it with you. And I'm so proud of her because in this academy, sometimes we have to do the thing we don't want to do. It's like, when you don't want to really work out and eat right, but you know that that's going to be the way you meet your fitness goals. And so there's that shift in our mindset where we say, you know what? That feeling gross and not liking my body is a worse pain than actually the pleasure that I get from eating the pizza and the tacos and all the stuff, the ice cream. And so she made this shift in, although it's fun to go back on the dating app, it's fun to get dressed and go out and have a good time because there's that promise of meeting someone. She said, because I've been coaching her, that there's a time when we have to heal. There's a time when we have to figure out who we are before we go out. It's kind of like if you look at it like a physical product, for example, we don't see cars on the lot that aren't completely done. They don't wait. They don't say, well, the car is completely built. It just needs to be painted, but go ahead and put it on the lot. No, they wait until the paint job is perfect. The interior is pristine. When you go buy a new car, you have this expectation that it's all going to be complete, right? But we sometimes put ourselves on the market when we don't even know who we are. We don't even know what we like. We aren't comfortable in our own skin. And so it's really not about changing. I've really been coming to terms with this too. This is why I'm telling you that this work that I'm doing, and when you join the academy, it is it's an evolving process. There's another word I'm trying to think of, but we are evolving together. And just like my girl, I want to say her name, but I won't out of respect for her privacy. She had this revelation, and I'm actually going to put more content around this inside the academy because this is exactly why I'm working so much with my girls. So by the way, if you join the academy right now, I'm spending tons of time. So if you really want constant contact with me, text me, email me, post a video, weekly coaching. If you're really going through something, this is the time to join. Okay. So right now in August, I'm working on some things on my back-end systems. So I'm leaving August as a month to join at any point in the week or any point in the month. So we start classes every Monday night. So if you join on a Wednesday, you can hop in the Monday night class. I'm just doing that in August right now as I get my back-end systems all organized. So I'm so excited. All right. I'm excited because sometimes, I feel like I go through a lot of the same content and I'm presenting it in different ways. And what excites me is when this is like a new light bulb moment that has so many different ways that I can help and I can teach. And I'm so grateful for the girls in this group for their willingness to be vulnerable. And if you join this group, I'm telling you, you're going to get access to such warm and loving, understanding, forgiving, encouraging women. Like I look at how they talk to each other and I'm just like, wow, it's like I handpicked these girls and they're just so good to each other. And they're learning that when they're loving on each other, they see how they need to love on themselves. And we're changing the dialogue every single day. And it's so important. And it's so heartwarming for me to see this, because I know this is what changes. And I know, had I had this 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was first starting to date, and if I had a group of women that I could be like, hey, I just got this text, or I'm feeling this way, and what's going on here? If we had, we need support, you guys, because this is hard. This is not easy to go through. But with the right support and with the right tools, and gaining clarity on all these points, it will get easier and easier. And then there is a moment where, and as I watch the girls go through this, I'm realizing, yep, I remember when that revelation sort of clicked in. It's sort of like when I'm learning to ballroom dance, there are times when I know my teachers have said this same thing over and over again, but I'm working with body weight transfer and my feet have to be turned a certain way and my posture has to be a certain way. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, I feel that now. Oh, I get it. And then I'll be like, how come you didn't tell me? And they're like, oh my God, I've been telling you this forever. But it's sometimes we have to hear this stuff over and over and over again. I've always pictured myself like ironing a shirt where it's like, yep, there's one more wrinkle. And then you're like, oh, I don't see that wrinkle. And you keep ironing it out. And sometimes, yes, you're going to go over that same spot, but this is part of the process. So I'm going to say that to you over and over and over again, because when my girl posted her video in the group, she was like, oh, man, I just realized that I'm getting ready for these dates and I'm doing my hair and my makeup and doing my spray tan, but who am I getting ready for? Am I getting ready for these guys that I don't even know? Or am I trying to escape myself? Am I trying to escape where I am right now? And I was like, ooh, that's so good. That's exactly what so many of us do. I can tell you, I can remember countless times getting ready for dates and really kind of feeling like, okay, when you get yourself fully ready, like hair and makeup, and you put on the right outfit, there is a certain confidence that you feel, which I think is great. I think we should all do that. I work from home and it's my goal every day to actually get ready and put on hair and makeup. And so I don't actually put on hair, but you get me. So when you get used to, or when you are feeling that sense of confidence, it is not necessarily false. But what I was hearing her say is that, yes, I feel good. I feel like, oh, I look pretty good. I like my outfit, like my hair, makeup, and all that stuff. But when you go on the date, it's kind of like you don't really know what else you're bringing to the table. You're really not ready to be there. Yes, you look great. You are great, but you're not comfortable in your own skin. So when we get ready, I'm just going to be like super blunt. I'm going to use myself. Like I would go and I would hope that I looked good enough, that I would be attractive enough. And then when I was on a date with a Gumball guy, he would really emphasize my physical attraction, which would make me feel great because that's really where my confidence was. But in reality, I had probably picked the best outfit that complemented my body, and I still had body insecurity. But in that moment, with him being into me, I'm on the date, we're having a glass of wine or two. Then when they kiss you or there's a romantic moment, there's this sense of false confidence. And so it's also kind of a Gumball date because it's not an accurate representation of you going out being you, being on the date, fully comfortable in your skin. And even though there is a physical attraction, you are really connecting. You're having conversation that's meaningful to you. You're connecting maybe on your religious beliefs, your political beliefs, your likes in music, or sense of humor or TV shows that you both enjoy together. You know, first dates are those kinds of conversations, really. Like if you both watch a certain show and then you can share that together. But when you're really syncing up with someone, you're like, oh, but then in the one episode when he did this, and they're like, yes. And then you realize, oh, we're seeing the same things. We enjoy the same things. And you're able to really feel, oh, this person gets me, versus this person thinks I'm really hot. Ooh, we have this chemistry. Ooh, this is so romantic. My girl had this was a huge moment. She's going to die when she hears this podcast. But I'm telling you, I keep wanting to say her name. Girl, this is so powerful. Like, this is huge for us to think about. I mean, I feel like in the Gumball Love book, whenever it comes out, this is going to be a whole chapter of, and we got to name this, you guys. What should we name this? It's almost like imposter dating, where we are a version of it. It's not like we're not really us. Obviously, it's us on the date, but you know what I mean? Like, what does this mean for you? I would love to hear from you. God, I just got chills. Oh, this is so exciting. Like, what does this mean for you when you think about, okay, are you ready for online dating? Because it's really not about the medium. I mean, I've expressed I don't enjoy the medium of online dating because it's a lot of work. So you got to be willing to and ready to kind of filter through all those profiles. But if you're, we kind of go through phases where we're like, yeah, I'll give it a shot again. So, but you have to be, I hate to say you have to be, but I want you to be in a space where almost every single profile grosses you out. And I know that sounds weird, but you want to be at a point where almost none of them even remotely prompt you to respond. And I remember making that shift where I would look at it and go, yeah, the old me would have had something to say, but now I just delete and block because I know right away what syncs up with me. And that person, yeah, they might be good looking and, has a good job and blah, blah, blah. But you can just see this is not somebody I'm going to sync up with. This is not somebody that I'm really interested in having more conversation with, whatever they say. And that's another podcast. But the point is, I want you to really analyze, just like my girl in the academy is doing. Who am I getting ready for? When I put on that cute outfit and I do my hair and makeup, what am I doing this for? What's the motive? What's the payoff? Because sometimes we feel bad about being single. We get depressed about it. We look at our next birthday or the birthday we just had and we're like, a lot of my girls that are turning 40 or 40 is quickly approaching. It feels like this big failure point. It's not. I think that we have to look at our lives, like I talked about in the last podcast, as much more meaningful than marriage and kids in the house. Because again, people that have that are not just immediate. It's not like, hey, if you get married and you have 2.3 kids and the dog, you're immediately happy. You're not. I've just heard so many people on the Red Table interviews, which I need to get more familiar, but like Jada Pinkett Smith talked about her relationship with Will Smith. And many people will say to you, wow, I realized that when I was married, it was not my husband's responsibility to make me happy. It's my responsibility to make me happy. And that's what caused problems in their marriage. So you could even get married and then you're still not happy. And then you're like, oh my gosh, a lot of women think I'm married. Like, why am I not happy? And then they look at their husband like, well, how come you're not making this work for me? And then they're like, I don't know. They don't know what to do because that's too much pressure. Can you imagine? You flip the tables. The guy's like, well, how come you're not making me happy? And then a lot of times we do take on that burden. We're like, okay, we want to make them happy. I know I have tried, oh my gosh, so hard in different relationships thinking that my failure, he was unhappy and that was my failure. When in reality, if we're not making ourselves happy first, we're going to fail in the next relationship. So if we focus on our own happiness, which seems like it always felt a little bit gross to me to focus on, I'm just going to focus on my own happiness. But it's actually if we really want to be married, then if we don't focus on it, we will have problems in our marriage. This is to me such a great kind of like inside scoop, because I've always said, ever since I had this revelation, wow, we should never be talking about dating tips. We should be looking at what makes a healthy marriage. And then when we know what makes a healthy marriage, we'll know what kinds of conversations are really a good representation of a future husband. We'll know if we have good communication style. We will know if that person is happy by themselves. We can't be the mopey person. So when my girl posted this in the Facebook group, she was like, she's realizing, wow, this date, yes, I can go on this app and I can have a date and I can dress up and I can look cute, but that isn't making me happy because I'm really not showing up as myself. I'm showing up to make myself feel better, but it's like this, but then I'm dressing up. She put it better. She said, like, I'm dressing up for these guys. Like, who are these guys? I don't even know these people. So here I am putting in all this effort, but yet I'm not really myself. And she's not herself yet, only because she hasn't done the healing and the time that it takes to, so what I've challenged her to do is go on dates by yourself, which doesn't sound exciting at first, because we have to sit there in the discomfort and face why we don't want to be there by ourselves. Let's say you never looked at yourself in the mirror because you hated your appearance. And then I put you in a room where all four walls were mirrors and you were just like, I can't stand it. And I said, look, you can't go anywhere until you're happy with that reflection. If you don't enjoy yourself, you cannot deal with the fact that someone else is enjoying you. You have to figure out how to enjoy yourself first and allow yourself some time and space. Give yourself, first you have to get used to it. So if it's like the room of mirrors where you're like, I don't like what I see. I don't like sitting here by myself. Why? What is it about sitting there by yourself do you not like? Do you feel like you have to be completely dressed up to go sit there by yourself? Like, these are all these things you need to try. And this is where I'm obsessed with hearing from you. Like, hey, I went on this date by myself and I took myself to, I don't know, some steakhouse. And I felt weird because maybe people were looking at you. But then I want you to look at, are they really looking at you or are they bored? This is a big transition I made. I used to think people were staring at me. Then as I got more secure in myself, I realized that they were uncomfortable on their date or with their spouse, and they were just looking around at other people, feeling insecure in that moment. Maybe they were on a date, maybe they were in a bad marriage, maybe they were in a fight, maybe they couldn't communicate. I've been on that side too. Or so they're looking around. They're not looking and judging. They're looking around at what other people are doing and judging themselves. But see, when we feel insecure, we think everyone's looking at us. We think everyone's judging us. So that's a hurdle that we get over when we go out on our own, and we have to put this in practice. We can't just do it once and then, okay, yeah, I took myself out to dinner. And it doesn't mean you have to, taking yourself out to dinner, that's not the thing you need to do, but it might be like, for me, 2 years ago, can't even believe it's been 2 years, I went to the dance studio and signed up for dance lessons. I have never been more uncomfortable in my life for a long period of time, like doing the East Coast swing and the samba most recently. Like, I feel so gross doing the samba because you have to, if anyone's done the samba, like when you're first learning it, you have to move your hips in a way where when you're learning, you do look gross. Let's just be real. It's like, it's not pretty. And so I could not stand the way I felt in my body. And I felt embarrassed in front of my teacher. And so for a long time, I didn't say anything. I just like dealt with the feeling of, God, I look so gross. I would just catch myself in the mirror. And I was 40 pounds heavier. So I didn't like the way I looked. It looked in my body. I didn't like the way my hips looked. It was just like everything was gross, right? And so finally, at some point, I told my teacher, I'm embarrassed doing this in front of you. And he was like, why? And his face was just so like surprised and shocked. And I said, because I feel too fat doing this. My body's like, bleh. And then he was like, oh, Melissa, come on. Like, he's like, you got to get over that. And when I realized that his mind wasn't on any of that, and he was just annoyed with me because he could tell something was blocking me. But as soon as I admitted, I feel too fat and I feel awkward and I feel like I look gross. And that's so then I even said it to one of the female instructors. And then they said, oh yeah, the Samba will feel gross for like a good period of time. You're going to feel like, and you just feel like you're flopping around. And they were like, yeah, and then I would ask questions like, is this hard to do? And I'm relearning Samba right now. And my new teacher, he's like, oh yeah, this is freaking hard. This will take you a while to learn. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, good. So then I was able to accept myself for looking gross in that moment, because everyone goes through it. And then the moment you accept yourself and you realize it's part of the process and no one is actually thinking of it the way you are, then immediately I'm more comfortable. Now I'm practicing it at home and go, oh, okay. Cause I don't feel that pressure to look a certain way or be a certain way because I know that it's impossible for me to show up looking great doing the Samba day one. Does that make sense? So I'm telling you this story because this process will feel like the Samba. It will feel unnatural to you. You will feel uncomfortable whatever you decide to do. Like for me, it was dance lessons. It was taking a writing class and showing up and I don't really consider myself quote unquote a writer, but I have to do a lot of writing for Gumball Love. And so it's a struggle for me. So I felt uncomfortable in that class because it would be like, okay, now can you read us what you wrote? And I was like, oh, these people have published things. And so again, uncomfortable. However, when I could admit where I was uncomfortable, immediately I gave myself room for growth. So I think that there is a huge problem with we feel like we have to show up perfect on the date and we think we should just arrive there somehow already knowing. And it's like me expecting to just know how to do the Samba in one lesson. I'm not going to learn it in one lesson. It's going to take, in reality, it takes hundreds of lessons to really learn it. When you're standing next to a professional ballroom dancer, they do it so well because they've done it hundreds of thousands, if not millions of times. This comes naturally to them. But girls, when we have lost our confidence because we dated one horrible gumball guy or a series of gumball guys, this rebuilding process takes a little bit of time. Now, I'm here for you to support you, not only myself, but the group of women in the academy. Or if you can't afford the academy, then keep listening to the podcast. Join our private Facebook group that's free, and post things where you are feeling uncomfortable. If we can admit, just like my girl did in our private Facebook group, I just want to she deserves some kind of an award for turning on a camera. She woke up right in the morning. Hair and makeup not done. She's such a beautiful girl. Anyway, I'm like, really? You just woke up? Okay. Like, who wakes up like that? She does. But anyway, she's like, I just woke up and just realized, like, what am I doing? I'm trying to go on dates, but who am I getting ready for? These guys? Like, I don't even know these people. So am I trying to just escape myself? And I was like, oh, that's it. We're trying to escape ourselves for a moment. So I never really thought about those as gumball dates, but it's like we're going out to get the high of the fun that we have on the date. There's attraction, there's chemistry. However, we're not really ready, and we haven't given ourselves enough space to heal, enough space to learn, enough space to grow. So we're just on the date prematurely. And if we give ourselves a little bit of time to get comfortable in our own skin, get comfortable with who we are, get comfortable with, and this is where I tell you to start really looking at what it is you like. Because when you know what you like, there's a magical thing that starts to happen where when you know what you like when I told you guys last week, I don't really enjoy live music. And one of my girlfriends had invited me to her birthday party, which it's full of live music. And it was funny. She was like, you don't have to go if you don't want to, because she listened to the podcast. And so then I started to really think about, do I really hate live music? It's like, I hate live music where it's the genre that I don't enjoy, 1. 2, I don't really like to stand around and listen to live music. I want to be able to dance. And then I started thinking about it again, where I love a lounge singer. So I like quiet music where it's like the one singer and like where it's like feels like a Nora Jones. Now that's music I would go see live. Like those are I know exactly what kind of live music. Like I can go listen to one person play the violin. So I got really specific. And I'm not saying like you go on dates and you proclaim all of this stuff. That's not what it's for. It's so that when you are sitting there, you don't feel like you have to be what he is or like what he likes. You're not on, just made me think of Coming to America. What do you like? Whatever you like. No, we're not going to be some princess from Zamunda. But you know what I'm saying? We don't have to be all the girls that are like born in the 90s are like, what is she talking about? If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the movie with Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, Coming to America. It's hilarious. It's a classic, 80s classic. Anyway, we don't want to be those girls that show up and feel like we have to be a chameleon. We've all been on that date where he says, oh man, I really love sushi. Do you love sushi? I love and then they go on and on. I'm like, no, I don't eat meat. And they're like, what? You don't eat meat? And they're like, that moment, I have to decide, what am I going to say in that moment? Like, I really don't. I never liked fish a day in my life. So we have to be secure enough in ourselves to look at the guy that's super dreamy and has amazing teeth and perfect lips and the gorgeous blue eyes, who so wants to take us to his favorite sushi place and be like, and now I will say, I will go to the sushi place because I can eat. I love rice. I love anything with a teriyaki or a soy sauce, or I can find things at a sushi restaurant that I will like to eat, but it's not going to be the fish. I will say just that on a date. Like, I know you guys that love sushi, you're so high pressure, but it's just, I've never been able to eat it. And I know there are some dudes on a date where they're like, well, I remember I was out with a coworker and he was like, man, he's married. He was like, but if I were dating you, that would be a deal breaker if you couldn't go out and enjoy meat. And I was like, wow, he was not the ideal guy anyway. But I was thinking, how shallow. You know what I mean? Like, really, I have to be able to eat a certain kind of food. I can't be with somebody who has that expectation. You know what I mean? So we have to know who we are. If you don't eat meat and you're a vegetarian or you're a vegan, then it doesn't mean you have to, be on some political campaign speech. But the point I'm trying to get to you is that I don't want you to feel like you have to waver for somebody. And I also want you to really be able to identify when somebody, the Gumball guy will pressure you usually. Why don't you eat meat? Blah, blah, blah. The nice guy will say, oh, okay, we don't have to go to eat sushi. We can go somewhere else. The person that really is secure in themselves, they don't need you to like what they like. The insecure person needs you to be like them. So when you are in this dynamic and you are comfortable in who you are and you express that on a date and you get resistance for being who you are, then you're going to look at it differently. You're not going to be like, oh man, why don't I like meat? Maybe I should no, it's like, this is who you are and it's okay. This is where we have to spend time doing us so that we get comfortable in the presence of others and not being like them or feeling the pressure to be like them. So when we're dressing up for the date, we're dressing the way we want to dress. We're doing our hair the way we want to do our hair. Like you're going to show up you. And I'm telling you, it takes a bit. It takes a little bit of time. Like I remember last summer going out with this guy and I put on it's like a kind of like I wouldn't say a t-shirt dress, but it was, kind of a mid-thigh cute. I got it at White House Black Market. And then I had these just sandals, and it was like a spring, probably like early summer. But it was warm. I could wear sandals, and it was just like a little cotton dress. And I look down the street and I see him, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's him. He had his hat on backwards, which who in New York City puts their hat on backwards? Like I usually only see that back home in the Midwest with like young kids. So I'm like, really? Your hat's on backwards? I'm like, oh, please don't be him. Please don't be him. And he was wearing flip-flops, like thongs, like really casual ones, like ones that you would wear on a boat, and like shorts and a t-shirt. So shorts, t-shirt, hat on backwards. And it was like he was coming defiantly. Have you ever gone on a date like this where they have the energy kind of like, hey, how you doing? They're literally trying to act all cool. But my presence, for whatever reason, is intimidating to a lot of guys. And so he wasn't feeling confident in himself, because when I showed up, it didn't really allow for that. Because why? Because I'm secure in myself. So he had this arrogance about him, but I didn't give it anywhere to go. I was kind and gracious, and I just came to get to know him, right? And we had talked on the phone, and actually he was a good-looking guy and he had a pretty decent personality. So I thought, okay, he's got his hat on backwards. But when I saw the hat on backwards, I thought, sad that he doesn't respect himself enough to make a good impression. Like he's at a point where he's feeling defiant about dating, and he's like annoyed. They go through their woman hater phase, but they're still on the date. Like they shouldn't be. They should be getting over their woman hater phase, but they're not. They're there. And so then I could tell he liked me, but he didn't really know what to do. And he was so awkward on the date. And I was like, it was just, we were kind of fumbling around, because then I could tell he wanted to have shown up differently. And then he was like, man, you're so dressed up. And I was thinking, I'm basically in like a little casual dress and I was wearing like just cute flip-flops, but like a sandal, and I matched. My hair and makeup was done. Of course, I put myself together like that on a regular day. So why wouldn't I do that on a date? This is how I show up for anything I'm going to go to. But see, that's also a revelation. I used to be the girl that would get ready all day, from morning time. I had my outfit picked out, and I would have to have the spray tan. And it's like, so I'm trying to give this to you from both sides. When you show up and you are comfortable in your own skin, the dating process will look differently. But when we're showing up and we're not comfortable in our own skin and we have not done the work, then we are not really being ourselves. And if we don't know really who that is, then all we need is some time to heal. And like one girl messaged me, I think over time, Melissa, we just build up walls. And I think I surprised her with my response, because walls are our responsibility. We cannot tell somebody, I have a lot of walls up. And if you have walls up, I want you to know that the good guy does not have the tools to break that down. That wall has to be taken down from the inside out. It's not somebody else's responsibility to get out their demolition tools and try to break that down brick by brick, because that wall was there before they got there. It wasn't made by them. So we cannot tell somebody or walk around with that idea in our head, oh, I've got walls up. Well, it's time for you to do the work to take those walls down, because all it is being comfortable in who we are, knowing who we are, and being able to sit comfortably and peacefully and know that the only person worth our time is the one that actually really syncs up with our authentic self. And when you explore like your likes and your dislikes and everything that makes you who you are, you do start to feel like, yeah, I like me. This is the lifestyle. These are all the little things that make me happy. I mean, I've talked to you guys about the kind of plants that I have and flowers to what I like to go see in a museum. You know, like I really had a moment where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be honest with myself when I'm walking around at the Met and I'm looking at some plate from some place in Africa from like, you know, thousands of years ago. Am I really interested in where that plate comes from? I'm actually not interested. I don't care at all. So I can stand there and read the placard, but I am totally spacing off. So it's kind of like, be honest with yourself. Be like, you know, I really don't care about this plate collection. Maybe I should, but in reality, I don't. And when you look at the size of the Metropolitan Museum of Art or any huge museum like the Louvre, there's not enough time to care about it all. So I know the two things that I go to look at the Met are the Impressionist artists. And also my next thing is going to be to study the pyramids in Egypt. There's this whole Egyptian section, which really is intriguing to me. So that's something that I will actually enjoy learning about. And so find the stuff that makes you curious, because curiosity, like Dr. Caroline Leaf, I think I quoted her in the last podcast, when we pursue our curiosity, that's what's going to be enjoyable. So figuring out who you are and what you're into is actually really enjoyable. And then you have interesting things to talk about on dates. So I want you to explore it from all aspects. What are you interested in from a faith perspective, from a political perspective? Like when you think about politics across the board, what are the issues that make you perk up and get really interested in? And maybe that's something that you can explore further and really read about. And then when you look at entertainment, what captures your interest? Like what are the movies that, you know, really think about? What are the movies that you actually love to watch? And it's going to be a lot of different kinds of movies, but I'm trying to get you to see patterns and where your identity really is under all these layers of pretending for all these people in our lives. Everyone is guilty of this. Everyone does what my girl just posted in the private Facebook group in the Academy. We all skip the process of figuring out who we are and getting comfortable in our own skin and healing from our past. We want to skip over that and get ready for the date and it's like it's the temporary fix. So we're there, we look good, we're having a good time, kind of. But you know, when you're sitting there and you are having a good time, do you ever notice how when you're done and you end the night, you kind of feel like, whew, because it was a lot of work. You don't realize like you're holding yourself up and you're being really engaging and you're smiling a lot and you're exhausted. Sometimes you kind of like, it's like taking pantyhose off at the end of the night, or somebody like taking your Spanx off. Like when you come home and you take the Spanx off and you put on your pajamas, it's like, oh, it's that feeling of, okay, now it's just me and it's all hanging out now. But I want you to have that feeling when you're on the date, just being you. Maybe even not wear Spanx, whatever you want to do. But you know what I'm saying? Like emotionally, I want you to just feel like, yep. And it doesn't mean that we're sloppy by any means, unless you are kind of a sloppy person. Maybe that's who you are. Maybe you're just like, hey, whatever. I have no filter. This is me. What is that? Who are you around your family? Because we can't be different people. We can't be like, hey, this person on the date. How you doing? Oh, yeah, I love that. It's so great. Yes. Mm-hmm. And then talk to your mom, sister, brother, friend, coworker and be like, so I had this date. No, you have to be the same person in both situations. You know, you guys, I had to do this for social media. I have to be me on this podcast. I can't be somebody different. Otherwise, it would be so hard for me. I would feel exhausted. So, but yeah, I had to figure out how to be myself in social media, how to be myself with this brand, how to say things that I really wanted to say to you and not worry about what my quote unquote competitors were doing in this field, that I am going against the grain and I had to be okay with going against the grain. I'm going to tell you to heal before you date, and everybody else will tell you dating tips and which app to use. And I'm saying, I don't think it matters what app to use. I think you need to be living the life that you really are supposed to be living, because the relationship, it doesn't fix anything. And I'm going to keep repeating these statistics. 7 out of 10 married couples are cheating. Only 3 out of 10 are considered happy couples, and happy couples only have sex twice a week max. Average sexual experience, 2 to 8 minutes. So if we go to max hot, passionate sex for 8 minutes twice a week, guess what we won? I mean, it's like not even a half an hour, really. 16 minutes. Woohoo! 16 minutes of hot lovin' weekly. 16 minutes. That's it. I mean, okay, maybe there's some rock stars out there that can, let's say it's 1 hour. Let's say it's a half hour per session and it's super romantic the whole time. That's 1 hour of romance a week. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, our lives need to mean more and our relationship needs to hold more value than that. But that's what we're out there looking for when we're dressed up and we don't know who we are. We're looking for romance. And I don't even think we're looking for sex. I think we're looking for the intimacy that often appears to come with sex, but intimacy actually comes with friendship. Because when you really connect sexually, it's when you really know each other on a friendship level. You're really connected. You're super comfortable, that you don't care if your cellulite's hanging out, and you know that they don't care because they love the whole person. They're not there for just the physical, that they love you as a whole. And so you can let go of your insecurities because you understand that you are fully accepted. And being fully accepted, then being able to have sex in that feeling is actually the ultimate goal. So if we don't seek people with the intent to build a friendship, which sounds like, Melissa, really? So does this person, are they not attractive? No, like, you're going to be attracted to them. Like, you cannot sacrifice physical attraction for this experience. Like, every married couple I've talked to, they're like, no, I am very physically attracted to my partner. It's not like they're hot for each other 100% of the time. They will tell you that there are seasons in the marriage, and every single couple is different, you guys. So we can't even say that when we're married, most of the time it's this. It really gets down to you and your partner, your friendship, your relationship, and what you do. And that's why I want you to talk to as many couples as you can, so that you can understand that every single happy couple they are best friends. I can tell you that is the one thing that they all have in common, that they don't think of calling their sister or their mom first. They think of calling their husband or their wife first, because that relationship becomes primary. Even if they have children from previous relationships, that when you find the right person, even if it's not the father of your children, that person will also put your children first. And so there is no that whole like, my children come before that person. Really, in reality, your partner has to come first, because you are the support system for those children. And so that dynamic is so critical. And so if you think, oh my gosh, Melissa, there's no way I could put someone ahead of my children, you never really should, because the right person would never expect you to do that. But kids need to know that that this person is extremely high priority in your life, and that, and I will tell you, as someone who doesn't have children, when you date someone who has a child, you don't want to feel like you're some second-rate person in your life. You want to feel like you are their significant other, because when you have somebody that really loves you, they will love your children like their own, and they will also put your children first. You know what I'm saying? So don't mistake my words for like, oh, you need to choose somebody else above your children. But what I want to tell you is, if you're a single mom, that the right man will put your children first as well. But your partnership, your marriage eventually needs to be where you invest your time. It's kind of like putting that mask on yourself before the child. You have to take care of your marriage first so that you can take care of your family. So if this is a second marriage for you, that relationship needs to be a huge, significant piece so that the rest of the family is supported, if that makes sense. So not my area of expertise, so don't hold me to too many of those. Don't send me hate mail. I hope you hear my heart of what I'm saying, because ultimately I really want you as a single mom to find your next husband to act as if he is the real father, and he will eventually adopt your children and treat them as your own. And he would never say, pick me over the kid. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that your next relationship, your future husband, will be that significant, will be that prominent, or not prominent, but he will hold such a significant position in your life. And that's the kind of feeling and the expectation that I want you to have, so that these little things that we do in figuring out who we are and what we like and what we don't like, and how we live our lives and where we live our lives and what we do for a living. And there's all of these things, right, that make us who we are. And if we don't know those things ahead of time, then we bring this other person in our lives, and then our identity even further diminishes, because we have to compromise, right? So if we don't come to the relationship whole, and then we start compromising, we lose ourselves even more. So actually, a marriage, if you don't know who you are, will be to your detriment, not to your advantage. Because even a good guy that you're married to will still not be able to teach you how to be yourself. He's not going to be able to help you find who you are. You have to find who you are. And so you'll be sitting next to a really great guy, and you'll be completely miserable. And you'll think, oh my gosh, I'm married. I thought this was supposed to make me happy. Look up there are so many private Facebook groups where women have this exact issue. I look and I'm like, wow, look, this is so true. They just didn't know. They didn't know what they didn't know. You know, we don't know sometimes when we really don't know ourselves. And it's because we never got a chance. So I'm going to eventually work on this in my brand, that I believe that when we have never really figured ourselves out, we're like tight rosebuds. So we don't look at a rosebud and say, well, that rose needs to change into a different flower. No, we don't say that it is insufficient. We don't say that it needs anything more. We don't add anything to the rose. But what does it need? It needs water, and it needs food. It needs nutrients, and it needs roots, right? If I have a flower and I pull it out of its root, it has no ability to connect any nutrients or any water. So that's what I want you to look at your life and say, where am I rooted? What am I rooted in? What makes me secure? What makes me unmovable? What makes me, and then, so you can have roots, but you have to constantly nourish those roots. So what's the ground? What's your soil? And what is watering those roots and keeping you strong and healthy? Those are the things you need to focus on, so that what happens when we water and we give nutrients to flowers? Then the flower starts to open up and bloom, and we get to see its fullest beauty and its fullest potential. So that's all I want you to picture yourself as. You're just a rosebud that's tight. All the petals are there. All the beauty is there. All the potential, everything, your whole essence is already there. You are already there. This isn't about becoming something different. This isn't about changing who you are. This is about opening up and allowing yourself to be seen and getting comfortable with people looking, getting comfortable with people seeing you in full bloom. Because when I'm sitting here at my desk, my hands are out at my sides. It's like I'm imagining you're just in full bloom and you're taking in the sunlight and you're taking in the nutrients and the water. You're rooted, you're secure, you're happy, and boom. That's when the world sees you, how does Oprah say it? The fullest expression of yourself. When your fullest expression of yourself means that you have done the work to make sure that you're rooted. So for me, I will tell you, my roots are in my faith. My roots are in my belief system. My roots are, I am held strong by God, number one, by my friends and family, number two. My relationships around me are what hold me strong. I have so many people I can pick up the phone and call. And then I have also decided to become rooted when it comes to this business. That's why I hired Rachel Luna as my coach, and her whole team is helping me. So Sandra Ocasio is helping me, and her team. I have help and assistance, and Jessica Castillo from Glam with Jess. She was integral last year in putting this whole academy together. And so getting rooted and really identifying the people that will keep you strong, that will keep you, because there are many roots, right? In a flower, it doesn't have just one root that goes down. You can see it. And when you've looked at a cross section, it's like, wow, look at all of those roots that go down, and they go deep, because that's what's holding that flower up. And that's what's making it strong. But if anything comes in to wash those away, the whole thing can get eroded. And I will tell you, that's what would happen to me. I would let a new relationship come in and overload me to the point where my root system would dry up, and I couldn't get strength anymore. And so essentially I was leaning on the guy to completely support me. And if your root system is dried up and you're just leaning against something else for support, what's going to happen? You just wilt. Right? And so we feel wilted. We feel discouraged. We feel like we can't get it back. But the getting it back is understanding where you're being fed, how you're getting rooted. And so all of those things involve, where are you working? What are you doing for fun? Who are your friends? How do you fill yourself up? I can tell you, this morning, I woke up kind of feeling just like a low confidence moment. And I had gotten some different books out, and I went to the Bible, and I went to, I wish I could do a whole podcast on what God showed me this morning. It was just I literally just cried, because it was exactly what I needed in that moment. And it was like I got watered for the day. I was like, oh, there's my water. There's my nutrients. There's what I needed to feel strong. Have you ever watered a plant and the leaves are all wilty, and then it's like an hour later, the leaves are all strong again? It's amazing when you know what you need and what it takes to get you back. You can just access that and you're back. So that's powerful. But it took me a while to know what I need at different moments so that I can sustain myself. So when I'm married and I'm feeling low confidence, I'm not going to go to my husband and be like, honey, I'm just feeling down and I don't know why. Fix it. No, I'm going to go to the Bible. I'm going to go to books that I know that lift me up. And then I can say, I was really feeling down earlier, but I was reading in this book, blah, blah, blah. And it really helped me. Now I could tell the story much better, to say, hey, I I cannot put my faith in my ability to produce results. That the results are in God's hands, and I just need to put in the effort. And I really needed that reminder today. All I do is put in the work, and the results are based on His will. And so, man, it just set me free in that moment because I was feeling just so discouraged. I mean, sometimes we just wake up in the morning and we just feel funky. We feel weird. We feel off. And being able to access the right resources. So this takes practice, right? We have to feel a certain way, and then you might say, yeah, I don't know, that podcast didn't really work for me. What does work for you? Go to different sources until you figure out, this is the thing that works almost every time. So for me, it's prayer. For me, it's getting the Bible. For me, it's journaling, like really getting my thoughts out. Sometimes journaling doesn't work. Sometimes I have to go back and pray again. Sometimes God wants you to work through something. So you have to kind of like not feel the greatest while you're working through it. But you start to see, there's a process here. And this is what's making me stronger. And so turning around and looking this process in the face and being like, all right, I'm going to do this is what's going to build that muscle that you need. And I'm going to post this maybe with this podcast or just sometime today, that resisting dating when you are healing develops the muscle to prevent you from settling. You need that muscle. You need that strength. So take the time to water those roots, to find the right soil. And also, when you repot a plant and you create trauma with a plant when you repot it. So it needs time to sit and just be still. And you don't want to overwater it. It needs time to acclimate to its new environment. And then you can start, then you can move it around a little bit more, but it needs time to settle, and then the roots will start to take hold. So if we are not rooted and they have not taken hold, one date can be that tug or yank that throws us off again. So the good news is we're not as fragile as a flower. We can always rejuvenate. We can always recharge. We can always go back to this rooting process. So if this is what you need to do to be rooted, to be planted, to be secure, then I want you to go on this journey. And I'm going to tell you that the Back to You Academy is really designed to do this. It's designed to show you where those windstorms maybe came from that took you off your game, that pulled those root systems out, or maybe you just feel like you got completely, a weed whacker came by and you're like, I don't even know how to put myself back together. But I hope that this whole previous hour has shown you how important it is to have that strength and to have that stability before you're out on a date. So that's why I've created this academy. And yes, it is $497. It's almost $500. Like, whoa, Melissa, but think about that. You can break it up into payments if you need to. And this will literally be a support system for as long as you need it to get you back on your feet, to find that stability. You might be married right now. We have people that are married in the private or in the academy, and they're not ready to divorce. They just know they need this right now, and they need to have the support system. So if you're married, I recommend that you keep this a private thing, a secret from your spouse. If you need to get out, but you're like, Melissa, I can't even think about divorce right now, but I just know I need to get myself back. I want to find some strength. I want to start this journey, but I don't want any pressure on like when I'm getting divorced. I'm not going to tell you when to get divorced. I'm here to support you and teach you how to love yourself, teach you how to bring back that stability and get rooted. And then it's going to be your decision and your journey to decide when you make all of those decisions. So if you're with somebody right now and you're in a similar situation, or you are single and you're tempted to be online dating, but this is really resonating with you, I really recommend that you give yourself a support system. I can't recommend it highly enough, because you'll be amazed at how many moments where you feel off course, you feel like I'm feeling really down, or I'm starting to miss him, or I'm stalking him on social media, and you come into the group and you're able to talk to people about it every single week, I'm noticing that weekly touch point is so critical, because it can take us only a few days to be spiraling out of control again, and we need to be brought back so that we can get back on track again. So I hope this really helps you, and I want to hear from you. Okay, so anywhere in this process, wherever this resonated with you, if you can, pop it in a review too. I really need some fresh reviews. So if you are listening to this podcast and you love it, I know it's kind of a pain to leave a review. It takes a couple minutes, but if you can, even if you just put one of your aha moments, I would love for you to do that. So thank you again. Till next time, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information, or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.